Greetings, programs, and welcome to Insanity. So, today we're going to look at Transformers Armada Sideways. And this has got to be one of the most unprecedented, ridiculous figures I've ever seen. And I love the absolute heck out of it. So, shocking amount to go over for this figure, even though it is just a deluxe class. As you can see, turns into a magenta and yellow motorcycle. Pretty straightforward, fairly boxy design, but looks pretty cool. Has a rider. There's actually a lot to go over with that rider here in a bit. Wheels work just fine. It is like really big and chunky, so it doesn't use a kickstand to stay upright, which is kind of handy because some of the motorcycle Transformers I have that use kickstands still fall over pretty easily. But yeah, there's actually a lot to go over with this guy. But the first thing we're going to do is take a look at his rider, who I do have pegged in here pretty tightly. Yeah, there's two little slots right here. You can peg that in on it to either of those slots. So here's the default rider. Now, in the English dub, all the English stuff with this character, it doesn't really have a name. But as I understand, in the Japanese continuity, this rider mode is actually called Mirror. And that's kind of cool, actually, when you realize what's going on here. So, as this wobbly waist is probably giving away, this is a tiny combiner. This is actually two Minicons that, when split apart, and fold this down, then come to this one, just bring down the foot, then push the head up and through the body, turn into Crosswise and Rook. And yes, I realize I do have their legs backwards at the moment. But, yeah, so this guy did come with two Minicons, both very simple, really strange heads. And the thing is, each of these are a different faction. So, Crosswise here is actually a Decepticon, while Rook is an Autobot. Which is a little weird considering their colors and, what their heads look like. But, yeah. Now, this also does lead to a thing that I'll get to later, but one of the main gimmicks in robot mode with these guys is actually how you can tell if you have a first or second run of this figure. So, we'll get to that in a little bit. These guys do basically both have the same posability. Rotating arms, ball joint for the hips, ball joint and a hinge for the knees, so they are double jointed. This guy's oddly high legs do get in the way of his posability a little bit. While Rook here, the legs are lower, so, just put that ball joint whatever angle you want and get him to do whatever. Also, his arms are on ball joints, not just swivels, though they do basically only spin around anyway. But yeah, two very simple little guys, and as you can see, they do each have a sit peg. Though, as you can see, this guy's is almost worthless. It's just up way too high. You have to put him in the splits to get him on the motorcycle. But gonna get these two guys turned around the right way, and then get them out of the way. And we'll actually get back to the motorcycle. So, technically when you got this set, you were getting 3 figures. And this is the main, this is Sideways himself. This is an unaffiliated Planet X Transformer. This is neither Cybertronian, or not Cybertronian. It is Cybertronian, but it's not a Decepticon or an Autobot. Yet. We'll get to that. First, we're going to get to robot mode. So, you come back here, raise these parts up, pull them out, which sometimes these can be quite stiff. Here, go ahead and split them. Get a little bit better leverage. Let's get them pulled out all the way, full extension. And then you're going to come up here, rotate this piece down. It will sort of... No, pardon me. No, you'll switch it to there. I didn't realize this had moved in my hand. But you push it forward, that'll lock in right there. And then just angle this back and push it in. That'll form his foot. So, same thing over here. Make sure that's locked in the front one. It is supposed to be in the back one for motorcycle mode. But now we want it in the front one. Push it in. And his legs are done. So, kind of angle them as far up as you can. Get them out of the way. You come down here. Split these out, which will very clearly become the arms. Just rotate them forward. And rotate the forearms around. I'm going to take the whole underside of the motorcycle. Turn it this way. Which the arms probably will get in your way. But you're going to turn it this way and fold the wheels straight up. Nothing's tabbing in or pegging in. It's just, good old-fashioned soft ratchets and stuff holding position. Go ahead and bring down the legs. Take the front of the motorcycle. It will unpeg. As you can see, there's a little slot, a little peg right there. Tongue work. And there's a little slot right in there that it's going into. We're going to pull it up, spin it around. Then there's a spot right there. It won't really peg in, but it will sit down over that, and you'll keep itself in position. Then go ahead and grab a hold of one of the handlebars and pull up his head. And this is Sideways in his standalone robot mode. Oh, you do also want to make sure you bring the arms forward enough. This little spot here will peg in right there. Forgot to do that. It doesn't even go in all that well, to be honest. But things on him are tight enough that it doesn't really matter. But anyway, robot mode, Sideways. It's really weird looking and really cool, actually. The head is... It's able to look up and down a little bit, but there is no head articulation. The arms can rotate. And then you have a little bit of wrist articulation there. Nothing at the elbows because of the how this gun works. But you can, rotate the arms if you want. Then his legs can kick forward that far, back that far, nothing at the knees, but you can angle the feet. So, very simple, semi-limited figure, but pretty cool. So, you can take either of his minicons, go ahead and plug them into his forearms here. Then just give those a shove forward, which can be a little tricky to do, just trying to get a good hold of him, but are you in all the way? He wasn't in all the way, that's what it was. And he can fire the missiles when you put a minicon in there. Weirdly enough, they are just friction missiles. It is bizarre to see a friction missile on a figure this old, actually. And apparently, you have to put the minicon back in, pull that back up. yeah, this guy really, really relies on his minicons for anything. You can also adjust these handlebars however you want them for, you know, being his horns. They are supposed to stay up and visible, I guess, actually, which is kind of weird. Go ahead and pop this missile back in since I don't have to worry about his missiles pinging off randomly. Now, here's where we get to what's really cool about this guy. So you're actually going to take the head, push it back down in, then fold the handlebars back as far as they'll go, get them out of the way, and you notice there's a hole in the top of his head. So we're actually going to take one of the minicons, move the other one away so it doesn't mess with our focus. Going to put the arms straight, well, technically straight up, but straight down because you're going to have him upside down for this. Then kind of just put the legs however you want. I believe for this guy, technically you're supposed to have the legs kind of like this. Just kind of going slightly up and then down at the knee. Then you're going to slide this little piece up. On mine, this does slide back down pretty easily. But as you can see, it reveals his eyes and actually turns this guy into a face. So you're going to put his head down there, and then his arms down in these two spots. And as you do that, it will reveal a faction symbol. So now, sideways is actually a Decepticon. And here's what I was talking about with knowing if you have a first or second run. As you can see, I put in the Decepticon head and got a Decepticon insignia. They put the faction symbols on the early run of the figure wrong. So when you put in the Decepticon, you'd actually get the Autobot symbol, and vice versa. So if you put in this guy and you don't get the Decepticon, you've got a first run. That's at least my understanding. But, again, you have no head articulation due to, you know, him having to use his arms, actually, to activate the faction symbols. But kind of a cool thing. And it looks weird, but it still works. And, of course, you know, you can move these back. I've seen the legs put almost just straight back like they're ponytails. I've seen them folded up, you know, old G1 Headmaster style, which apparently makes the camera forget how to focus. But, you know, a lot of different ways you can put the legs, kind of just do what you want with them. But as for the instructions, you're actually going to just, like, lay their legs out across his shoulders. So, going to go ahead, rip out crosswise. They do fit in really tightly. Probably not a gimmick I'm going to mess with a whole lot after this video, just because I don't know the longevity of it, and I'd rather not mangle this guy. But go ahead, arms up, flip him over, and if we're going to do the instructions version on this guy, you kind of do his legs like this. So the Autobot one is the one that has horns. Okay. Pull up the head visor once again. Little red eyes. Line everything up. Pop him down in. I said pop him down in. And there you have him in his Autobot mode. And this head probably doesn't work as well as the other one, just because this is at least, you know, a shade of purple. It sort of goes along with the colors, whereas this black head really, really stands out. But at the end of the day, this is still a really cool, really unique figure, because I can't name any other character that came with 2 headmasters, and each headmaster actually switched the faction, you know, that the character was a part of. So, overall, if you are able to get this guy, I definitely have to recommend him. Purely on just how unique and interesting he is. I'm very much a collector who's driven by something just being kind of cool and different. And while yes, this guy is very much a lump, you know, at no knees, his arms can't move out, or pardon me, his arms can move out at 3 notches, but, you know, no elbows, what I meant to say. Limited articulation, to save myself from being any stupider sounding. He's still just really, really cool. And again, he's really unique. And I think a unique figure, that will always win me over more than a quote-unquote good figure. Because I want something that's unique and different. And this guy is definitely unique and different. So, major recommend. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.